it's ridiculous how many sightings of this thing still fucking motherfuckers are still seeing this shit. It's crazy.
Like, there's some of them that are real.
Yeah, but how long are these motherfuckers just living? Is the problem?
It's fucking insane,
living
dude.
forever.
Welcome back to episode 3 of the Cryptid Conspiracy Closet. Cue that door sound. We got a couple of ones that I think we actually kind of believe in. I think mine too, for sure. I actually have a belief that they may be real.
And one of mine may be real. I did the Ogo Pogo. Correct me if I'm fucking up my pronunciation. Ogo Pogo. In Canadian folklore, the Ogo Pogo is a lake monster said to inhabit the Okanagan Lake in British Columbia. Some scholars have charted the entity's development from First Nations folklore and widespread water monster folklore motifs. The Ogo Pogo plays a pivotal role in commercial symbolism and media representation of the region. The lake monster has been described as being a serpentine creature with smooth, dark skin with a large body thicker than a telephone pole and being up to 15 meters in length, 49 feet. The monster is said to move at incredible speeds, coiling its body in vertical undulations and propelling itself with a powerful tail.
Goddamn.
According to Ben Radford, the Ogo Pogo is more closely tied to native myths than it is with any lake monster. Stevie. Sequempic?
Which is that we mean no disrespect.
And Silex natives regarded the Ogo Pogo, which they called the Naitaka, as an evil supernatural entity with great power and ill intent. As various translations, such as water demon, water god, or sacred creature.
Oh, yeah.
Alleged. So the reason I picked this one is because there's a dozen plus alleged sightings.
That with these little lake monsters, there's a lot of sightings of them.
Why?
Like it's so like lake monsters might be real. Like Loch Ness might be real. There's too many people that have seen this shit.
Sightings of the good old Ogo Pogo. Susan Allison's 1872 sighting was the first detailed Ogo Pogo account from a white settler. She was the first non-native person to live in the region, establishing relations with the native peoples. While driving on Highway 97 in 1968, Art Folden noticed something moving in the lake. He pulled off the road and filmed what he claimed to be footage of the alleged creature, showing a large wake moving across the water. Folden estimated that the Ogo Pogo was 100 meters offshore. Okay, I was in like 100 meters. That's a long ass thing. That's just 100 meters offshore.
To be able to see that in a moving car and be like, no, I gotta pull over and record this shit.
What the fuck is that? It's like
100 meters is far.
It's like them damn frog people. You just being in an area and you're just like, what the fuck was that?
Let me go on right now.
Folden noticed something large and lifelike in the distance and out on the calm water and pulled out his home movie camera to capture the object. A 2005 investigation conducted by Benjamin Radford again, with Joe Nichol and John Kirk for the National Geographic Channel TV show Is It Real?, utilized surveyor boats to find the actual distance of the alleged creature from the shore. They found that it was much closer to the shore than originally thought, resulting in reduction of actual size and speed. They concluded that it was likely a real animal, but its size had been greatly overestimated, and that it was probably a waterfowl, otter, or beaver too far away to be identified. In the 1980s, a local tourism agency offered a cash reward for a proven sighting of the beast. Greenpeace announced the beast must be filmed and not captured. The Ogo Pogo was listed as an endangered species in 1980, and around 50 tourists watched an alleged Ogo Pogo for about 45 minutes off a beach of Kelowna. Larry Thal, a tourist from Vancouver, shot some 8mm film, albeit for only 10 seconds. Some skeptics have suggested that it was only a pair of otters. In 1989, John Kirk reportedly saw an animal which was 10.7 to 12.2 meters, 35 to 40 feet, and consisted of 5 sleek jet black humps with a lashing tail. He believed it to be traveling around 40 kilometers or about 25 miles an hour. Can you imagine seeing a big ass, like, you don't get to see anything, right? You just see humps in the water.
This is Canada, right?
This is the good old Canada.
God damn, dude. This is, you'll see it in a minute, but this is eerily similar.
So I tried to, it says that they've shot film. I tried to look up the old school. I didn't find anything. I don't know if it's a little bit deeper of a dive, but if I search it, it's just going to pull up like more recent sightings, which granted, that's still pretty neat that people think they're seeing it in the 20s now, but that shit's nuts. On July 24th of 1992, Paul DeMaro videotaped something or some things that were traveling just below the surface of the water at a fairly good speed. Estimated at 8 kilometers or 5 miles an hour, a boat towing a water skier suddenly appears in frame and the skier falls into the water near the object. Within several minutes, DeMara made 2 other videotapes, each showing what appeared to be multiple animals in the water. Benjamin Radford suggested that the creature was only several otters. In 2005, FBI video specialist Grant Fredericks concluded that the object was very consistent with debris from a fallen tree in the water, noting that it very slowly bobs up and down. He also pointed that the alleged creature did not react to the water skier, and the skier did not seem alarmed. Okay. In 2008, a local photographer and his girlfriend were sitting by the lake shore of Peachland, and she noticed a disturbance in the water. Sean snapped one photograph, but his camera had died, so it wasn't able to capture more. Sean never publicized, but describing it as having a black hump-like ridges. 8 days later, south of the original sighting, Sean pulled his car over to look at the Highway 97 widening project, and Jessica spotted another disturbance. So these people have seen it twice. Yeah. He snapped 11 photographs of the unknown object, and it was as it was surfacing near a boat. One of them shows a tail or a neck-like object surfacing the water, while the others show the back of the head and the neck of the creature. Sean estimated the creature being 5.5 to 6 meters long, 18 to 20 feet. So it looks like everybody's description of the length kind of varies. And it from the boat in the background. So he kind of compared it to the boat in the background. The photos are examined by many local experts. Chris Bull, who ran the local fishing department and cataloged every single species of the lake, concluded it didn't look like any known animal of the lake. A biologist noted the black texture was possibly a different creature or pollution. Members of the show Monster Quest also examined the photographs and found no evidence of tampering. The photos wouldn't be shown on television until 2009 on Monster Quest episode Lake Demons. Valoria would end up making a little OGOPOGO statue off of a plesiosaur. In 2011, a cell phone video captured 2 dark shapes in the water, suggested that they were 2 logs. Radford analyzed the video for Discovery News and concluded that the video quality is poor and the camera is shaky, but a closer look at the 30-second video reveals that instead of one long object, there are actually 2 shorter ones. They seem to be floating next to each other. No humps, no head, no form, only 2 long, darkish, more or less forms that appear a few dozen feet long. In short, they look like floating logs, which would not be surprising since the Okanagan Lake has tens of thousands of logs harvested by timber. So the problem with these things, in my opinion, is a lot of people see things in the water, and since it's so far out, you can't
really see. You just see a black object bobbing up and down.
Whoa, monster.
So realistically, it could just be.
Yeah,
because in trees and lakes before.
An explanation, I mean, they've chalked it up to waterfowl, otter, beavers. Also says it could be logs, a group of otters. Sturgeon are often mistaken as lake monsters, but their existence in Okanagan is unclear. There is currently an unclaimed $10,000 reward for concrete evidence of sturgeon in Okanagan.
I think it's crazy because a lot of these lake monsters are blamed on sturgeons.
Because have you ever seen a sturgeon?
Yeah, sturgeons are fucking
they
huge.
Look dinosaurific.
Terrifying. Even in Red Dead, kind of looks like the Sinclair dinosaur.
I was thinking the same thing because they sell it, right? This is their kind of selling point. So there's like child parks and things like that have that.
That's honestly, I would capitalize on that if I was any of these cities that have these like cryptids.
See, I mean, if we look, there's videos of couples claiming that they saw it a year ago. So I mean, which is open for interpretation.
Like, a lot of these, like, they live a long time, man. Like we were talking about this, right? Especially aquatic animals. Like you think about it, the oldest living animals or species that we have live in the water.
What are they? Whales?
I mean, there's whales. There's fucking. I don't know. There's like microbes and shit like that they found down there that are like millions and billions of years old. Like sea urchins live to be like millions of years old. Like, there's certain things that live in the ocean or in water that live for like 50,000, 60,000, 70,000. Like,
I mean, and a lot of this, using the giant squid, they thought that shit was a cryptid for a long ass time. So they finally was like, oh, that's a real thing.
Especially in the water, man. Like, we just don't know shit about water. And it's too expensive to actually go down and investigate in water, which, like, granted, I get it in lakes. It's not as far, it's not as bad of an expedition.
No, and they do that sonar ping shit where they got ping.
Facts, and they actually use that in the next one that I have. They actually use that shit, and that shit actually comes up and it'll tell you, yeah, that's real.
enough of an impact to make music about it in 1924.
Which is
We played it off air.
You do have the legend of Ogo Pogo.
It's an old song, y'all.
It's out of public domain, I want to say. If it's in public domain, I'm going to add that bitch in here. And then, yeah, you guys can kind of hear it. I think it's pretty cool.
Yeah, man, Ogo Pogo. Let us know what y'all think about that Ogo Pogo.
Ogo Pogo. Yeah, not too long ago, you were explaining to me all your adventures that you had in Lake Erie as a kid. And I had to hit you up immediately when I heard about Bessie. I had to hit you up and be like, oh, did you ever heard about Bessie? No. Really? Okay. So Bessie, just like Nessie the Loch Ness Monster, is a lake monster in Lake Erie. She is also known as South Bay Bessie. She was spotted in Lake Erie. She's been spotted in Lake Erie from Canada to Pennsylvania and everywhere in between.
It makes sense.
So it kind of just it goes back and forth. Similar to the Loch Ness Monster, and is reportedly a snake-like, 30 to 40 foot long, at least 1 foot in diameter, grayish snake reptile. The first sighting was in 1793. And as time has passed, has actually occurred more frequently. So, like as the years passed,
more active.
Yes. So in 1973, there was a boat captain shooting ducks off the port in Sandusky, Ohio. You love Sandusky, and ended up stirring up a large snake-headed creature more than 16.5 feet in length. That was the first reported sighting of it. The next one was in July of 1873, where a crew was reported a 30 to 40 foot serpent, dark in color. Later in that year, in 1817, another boat reported the same thing, just 60 feet long and copper colored. And they claimed it to be a serpent, a 60-foot long copper colored serpent.
Oh, so it's growing.
Yes. So, and this is the same thing as with the Ogo Pogo. There's kind of differentiating like lengths on it, but for the most part, they seem to be about the same. Also in 1817, so 1817, there were 3 sightings near Toledo, Ohio. 2 brothers named Dessous. They were French brothers. They encountered a huge monster that was sitting on the beach. They thought that the monster was dying, and they described it as a 20 to 30 foot long, looked like a large sturgeon that grew arms and legs.
God dang.
The brothers were terrified, left to go get help. Ended up coming back, and there was nothing left. All that was left was huge marks in the sand.
Help should have been an artillery strike.
100%. And so there was large marks in the sand, and then large silver scales the size of silver dollars left in the sand. Yeah, you think of that, those are big ass scales. You think about a normal fish, and then you think it's probably about, that's a decent sized scale. So that went on. The next one that we got was in 1969. So it went rogue for a little, 1960, where Ken Gollick was fishing off a pier in Sandusky again. When he heard what sounded like 2 rats fighting. So he picked up rocks, started throwing it in that direction, and then a large creature arose from the water, just pulled out. Gollick described it as a cigar-shaped, 1 to 2 foot wide, and had 4 flippers that helped it push out of the water.
What would you do if you just casually try to skip rocks on water?
Trying to scare some fucking rats, and then a fucking sea monster that is cigar-shaped, 1 to 2 foot wide, and had 4 flippers that just stood up out of the water, and then he says that it walked out, laid on a beach for a while, and then went on his way. He claimed it happened at 11 a.m. on a clear, calm day. So there's no wind, no nothing. Nobody was there. It was just perfect day out there. He was out fishing. Fucking Lake Ness Monster just wanted to beach. He just wanted to lay on sand for a while. So fast forward, 1969, Jim Schneider reported a serpent that came within 6 feet of him. He was swimming in Lake Erie. A serpent came within 6 feet of him near the South Base.
I bet there before.
South Bass Island in Lake Erie. He had no description of the length, but he did claim that it was 2 feet wide. He got the fuck out of there.
Being someone that has swam in Lake Erie, I could tell you that it is. There's just a bunch of snakes in there, man. You're gonna take a chance, man. You're gonna bump into one. It's gonna happen.
1981, Teresa Kovac of Akron saw a snake-like reptile with flippers that she said was large enough to easily sink a boat, but seemed to be playful. Said that it was just playing around in the water, squirming around, having a good time.
Just imagine an otter just like rolling around. Having a good time.
1983, 2 years later, Mary M. Landau was at the lake and she heard a rowing sound. She saw what looked like a sunken boat. So she went on to investigate it, thought it was a sunken boat that went down, capsized. Upon investigation, she said it was greenish and brown with that was 40 to 50 foot long. She then realized it wasn't a boat when the neck moved and you could see an eye from the side. So she saw the eyes of a 40 to 50 foot snake-like monster. It was like, fuck that, that ain't a boat.
Fucking out of here, dude. I'm God. Anaconda in real life.
2 years later, 1985, Tony Schill from Akron saw a giant serpent while boating. It was dark brown and a long, flat tail. Schill stated 5 humps came out of the water and dismissed the idea of being a sturgeon. Tony had a friend boating along with him, and the friend claims to come face to face with the creature and also saw 5 humps come out of the water and said it was black. Later in that year, in 1985, Dale Monroe spotted a sea serpent from Lorraine Coast Guard Station, so he was in the Coast Guard, and he claimed visibility for 4 minutes and estimated the creature to be 32 feet long.
Imagine just peeping something for 4 minutes.
Fuck no, you're just sitting on a watchtower and you're like, what the fuck is this big motherfucker? And he based it off of a boat, which he said was 16 feet long, and he said it was double the size of the boat. 1989, Gail Kasner obtained a fish finder graph from a boat that her friend owned. So she went out there on the lake, and the fish finder had a sonar reading of a large cigar-shaped apparition, 35 feet long, that was 30 feet underneath the water. So it's just sitting right there. There's something 35 feet. There's something on sonar that popped up that's underwater that is living. So there's another one. In 1990, there was 4 reported sightings. Bob Sirocco was jet skiing in Lake Erie when he claimed to see a porpoise or a whale.
A porpoise.
A porpoise. There you go.
A porpoise.
So a whale in the lake, which neither one of them would survive. They need salt water to survive. It is a natural water lake. They wouldn't be able to do it in fresh water. Bob claimed to say, I know an aquatic air breather when I see one. He claimed that it had 5 humps and gray spots and was very long. Another sighting was claimed later in 1990, claimed to be 35 feet long and a snakehead. The other 2 that they claimed to be in didn't really have any like sources or like any information on it. So I kind of dismissed it. We only have 2 in 1990. There's 4 supposedly, but like I'm only counting the 2.
The validity of 2.
And then the last time that it was actually seen was in 1995. When reports began to surface again, it gained national attention. When in 1977, there were videos and blurry images that were revealed, and CNN actually ran a whole news report that was published June 12, 1997.
Oh shit!
So they did a whole ass documentary. They did a whole ass article too. I want to say so in 1991. That was the first time they actually dubbed it to be Bessie, a Pennsylvania newsletter of the Cryptid Chronicles. The article had reports from the last 30 years of the 30 to 50 foot reptile, that I just explained to you guys, was all included into that article. It is a real article published in the Pennsylvania Times. So we have a CNN report and Pennsylvania Times both backing the validity of it. Little bit about Lake Erie max depth. It goes from 490 feet to 1,300 feet. There are no outlets. It's only shallow little channels that run down from the mountains. So then it kind of it fills in with those in the rain. So it's mostly alkaline. Sits about 9.5, 9.7, 9.8 on the pH scale. And then they said that you compare it to anything is going to be a plesiosaur or a ichthyosaurus, which lived. They were marine reptiles that lived during the dinosaur era. So that just goes back to our belief of how long that water animals can actually survive.
Yeah.
And then the account of it being, I mean, there's from 1793 till 1995, there were reports of sights of this animal.
Now, my question is, do you think they heard of Loch Ness and Nessie and was just like,
They could be.
Bessie?
But that kind of throws away. If you actually took a sonar reading down to the lake and they exposed a 35-foot apparition that is sitting underneath water, I mean, I don't know if they ever went and explored it. They need to go and explore it.
Did it move? Was it just stationary the whole time? Because if it's stationary, I'm chalking that up to a log.
Facts. But I mean,
but 30 feet down.
35-foot log is going to sink.
And 30 feet?
Then, shallowest that it is 490 feet.
Oh, I know. It's a terrifying place.
If it's 300 feet underneath the water, then why didn't it sink the rest of the 190?
And that water is so murky, there's no way you're seeing that.
No, you can't see that. I'm sure even if you went down there and deep dived in there, it would probably be
no one's going under that water.
Impossible to see.
No one fully wants to see.
You would have to have a submersible, and even then it would be like, ooh, you can't really see.
Yeah, you don't want to do that, especially in like.
Yeah, see, I had to bring that one up because I know all your Lake Erie experience, and I was like, yes, that is 100% going to be mine right here.
To share, to segue a little real quick, I have a lot of family in Sandusky, and we used to go inner tubing on Lake Erie. And the first time I'd ever gone inner tubing, I had hit a wave and shot off of the inner tube, and I landed on a fish, and it splattered all over my chest. I mean, just
exploded.
Just
so that kind of sums up. I haven't been to Lake Erie, but from what I've heard, it's not the best of places.
It's fun.
Bessie, y'all believe it or not? Let me know if you believe in it. Do your own research. See, I'll put the pictures up.
I mean, now, so I'm guessing a theme with this episode, and it looks like we're staying with a aquatic style. I picked Tutto Tom because with a alliterating name like that, how the fuck can I not pick that? Tutto Tom. Yeah, also known as the Demon Gator, Tom, or Triple T, baby. Triple T, baby. Tutto Tom is a legendary alligator said to inhabit swamps of the southeastern United States. Reportedly, the creature wreaked havoc during the 1900s, leaving trails of corpses in its wake. An alligator of gargantuan size, Tutto Tom is described as being akin to a demon, deriving its name from the fact that it had lost its toes from a previous attempt on its life.
I mean, say, you gonna take my toes? It's Chubbs in real life. You gonna take my hand? I'm gonna take your head.
In real life.
It's flip roles.
So this one doesn't really have too much, but it does have a nice little biography, cool story. So I figured, why not? Stories begin to circulate in the 1920s in regards to Tutto Tom, with this story eventually recorded by the University of Alabama professor Carl Carmer whilst visiting the area to write his travelogue. Sorry, I was a burp off camera. I want you all to know that I burped, but I just didn't want you to hear it. Locals described the beast as measuring 4.5 meters in length and that it had been hunting towns for decades. While alligators are commonplace to the community, this gator had been actively hunting and consuming livestock in stark contrast to the normal behavior conveyed by other gators. Some even indicate that Tutto Tom was no mere alligator, explaining that it possessed red, glowing eyes and was immensely powerful. Any animal with red eyes, mice, hamsters, scare the shit out of me. Don't have red eyes.
All I'm thinking about
no purpose.
Is the legendary fucking alligator in RD2.
Dude, okay, and it's just rolling. That's exactly what this is. They might have taken Tutto Tom.
It was like, yeah, we're putting this shit in the game,
man. Now that I'm scared, we're gonna put a picture of the legendary gator here.
4.5 meters. What is that, like 12, 13 feet?
I pulled that shit up, so because I'm so glad you asked it. I pulled it up. It's over 14 and a half feet long.
15 feet long, people.
Christ on a cracker.
3 million laying down, damn near.
It is rumored to be able to even tear a horse to shreds in one swift thrash of its teeth. Anything that could bite a horse and fuck it up in one bite, crazy.
Terrifying.
Crazy.
Dude, I've seen like mini alligator fight, and it's just like, holy fuck, that's terrifying. I can only imagine the barrel roll Tutto Tom had. Or Tutto Tom.
Oh, dude, he's taking down Bessie. He's taking out Bessie. That's that. We're talking about apex predator. This is the apex.
This is the ultimate apex predator right here.
Okay, so this is where it gets a little weird, right? Having sinister intentions for those that only encounter it, it not only does Tutto Tom massacre livestock and civilians, but it's also believed to women that were alone in the swamps. A trail of two-toed footprints were the defining signs that the creature was on the loose.
So you tell me gators or horses and cereal.
Oh, we can't use that word. You're gonna have to.
But hey, it's just facts.
I just like this sound now. So the story goes, locals decided to take matters into their own hands and set up to destroy the beast. A hefty bounty was placed on the gator, but it was proven nigh impossible to kill as it would just shake off whatever was thrown at it. Apparently, Tutto Tom was also rather intelligent, being able to avoid its would-be captors with every turn. The beast would go on to wreak havoc for 20 years. Arguably, the worst account was Pat Haynes. I'm Pat. My name's Pat Haynes. A farmer who had bought 40 acres of land. Despite being told the legends surrounding the famed alligator were myths, Pat discovered that one of his mules was torn apart and that trails of two-footed paw prints and blood led to a pond. Realizing that Tutto Tom must have been close, I'm just going to refer to him as Triple T now because Tutto Tom is a little too much for me. Okay,
Tutto Tom reminds me of 5 Second Tom.
Hi, I'm Tom. He decides to put an end to the monster once and for all. With the help of his sons, Pat fills 15 syrup buckets with sticks of dynamite and begins tossing them into the lake. The pond is completely destroyed by the buckets of dynamite, leaving it seemingly impossible for anything to survive. However, screaming was heard from a nearby pond, and the group comes face to face with the grisly remains of Haynes' 12-year-old granddaughter. We're not laughing at that part, just the dynamite part.
I'm laughing because he threw 15 sticks of dynamite.
No. 15 buckets filled with sticks of dynamite.
Jesus fucking Christ, that's so much dynamite.
He blew the pond out.
I got 40 acres. Who's going to this shit?
No more pond water. How do you blow a pond out?
Holy shit, that's funny. I'm sorry. I apologize.
All right. So, however, screaming was heard from a nearby pond, and the group came face to face with the grisly remains of Haynes' 12-year-old granddaughter, who had gone out to see what all the commotion was about. Concluding that Tutto Tom most likely knew about their intentions. Oh, so he's a sentient one. He knows.
Was waiting. He's smart. Filling up the bucket. Said, "Y'all are stupid. I'm gonna kill your daughter."
And that's why your granddaughter.
Like, you want blood? I got blood for you. That's a cold-blooded.
Come get it back in blood.
With this alligator.
I'm telling you, man. Triple T, baby.
That's a bad man.
I just imagine Guy Fieri. This episode of Triple T, Tutto Tom alligator
eating whole ass mules. We gotta see what's up.
Oh, Haynes would continue his vendetta with the vicious alligator and ultimately dies bitter and unfulfilled because he didn't get him.
Of course not, bro. Tutto Tom's always at it. He's 2 steps.
Other sources claim that Triple T took up residence in South Hammock Lake between Esto and Noma, Florida, having departed from Alabama. The creature was said to continue to devour livestock in a chapter dedicated to legend in the book Homesteading by E.W. Carswell, as well as bellowing in response to the whistle at the Alabama-Florida Lumber Company mill in Noma. Once again, attempts at the creature's life are met with failure by a group of local boys shooting at it with their what are we doing here?
Yeah,
shooting at it with their .22 caliber rifles and shotguns. Now I know word of mouth is not as impossible or possible, right? You ain't really hearing. Well, yeah, the good old Triple T got hit with 15 syrup buckets of dynamite. And he coughed it off. He said,
"So I'm gonna go and take a 22 and try to shoot the mother." Like a 22?
I mean, that's what I'm thinking.
What the fuck is wrong with you, bro?
But that seems to be the last, and it doesn't really give us a year. Did it give us a year? No, it didn't really give us a year. It just kind of said in the 20s. So, old creature.
1920s?
In 72, an article in the Pensacola News Journal reported that the creature's footprints had been found in Boynton Island near the community of Red Head, Florida.
So it was last seen in 1972.
And two pictures here.
Damn, bro, that's a big ass fucking alligator.
That's a so.
If you see a 17-foot alligator, bro, just run.
Because I pulled up, just like
run as fast as you can.
What a good old,
you made it.
What a good old basic alligator is. Now, the longest one recorded was 15 feet 9 inches. So maybe they found Tutto Tom in Arkansas in 2012.
Possibly, I can see that. That's a big fucking alligator,
but there's
man.
Unconfirmed reports of gators being over 19 feet long. So what if gators are just dinosaurs?
I think gators are just dinosaurs that became aquatic. They kind of subbed out.
God, because I mean, 15 feet has got to be
Jesus. Could you
some
imagine
arc survival evolved
shit?
shit.
Think that motherfucker is. How much do you think that shit weighs?
Oh, I would
that
imagine.
would weigh 1,400 pounds. Imagine a 1,400 pound, 15 fucking foot alligator running at you.
With red eyes. We can't forget the red eyes, guys. That's the scariest part. Red eyes.
Just glowing red eyes.
Missing toes.
That thing is possessed.
He boldly sported anytime someone tried to like take his life. Like, oh, y'all got me. Here's some fingers missing. Fuck y'all.
Fuck off of you.
So yeah, I thought that was a crazy Tutto Tom. Thought that was a pretty cool
Whoever took that
little story.
Fingers, you're a real one. And you blew up a whole ass lake.
And nothing to show for it. But you got to show for it.
I think that might be
a dead granddaughter, unfortunately.
We were talking about the rankings. That might be a number 1 seed right now. That's absolutely terrifying to me.
For now. When we get to like the Wendigos, the Skinwalkers and shit, different levels. Well, right now, Tutto Tom is...
Tutto Tom's up there.
He's fucking up there, man.
Tutto Tom. Tutto Tom's scary.
Little gator.
Tutto Tom is scary. Mine is not that scary on my last one.
No, yours is a little bit frightening because it's real.
Yeah, I took the whimsical route on this, but I'm not gonna lie. The more I deep dove into this shit, the more I kind of believe it.
He freaked me out with the excitedness of this one.
It's fucking cool. So atmospheric beasts. There are some categories. I'm gonna kind of just give you a brief summarization because like there is a lot that goes into this shit.
Yeah,
but they are claimed to be living creatures that break all the usual rules that biologists apply to living organisms. They appear to be able to levitate without the need of wings, and their bodies are depicted in a semi-solid state, often partially invisible. So they can go invisible. I'll describe that a little bit later. But
translucent?
They can get translucent. They are said to be able to change their density, so they can either get very small and more solid and have a metallic appearance, or they can continue to grow to the point to which they are invisible. I found a couple categories of it. Like the most verified, the most cited, and the most like information that I could find was on the atmospheric jellyfish. So it has been sighted floating in the atmosphere. They tried to say that they were UFOs for the longest of time. Which honestly, I'll cue the pictures. You'll get all the pictures of all these because they are actually a lot of photographic evidence.
Fucking frightening.
If you want to say on these, I'll include all that shit with these. But they do kind of look like UFOs. They've been sighted by hundreds of people from China to Norway, including top meteorological.
Yeah,
there you
Meteorological?
go. Meteorological. You know what I'm saying? Meteorologists, motherfuckers, the best ones. Military bases and large cities. NASA claims that the creatures are a result of space debris reflecting off of the northern lights. And it's one of the few UFO phenomena that is recognized and actually researched by the scientific community. So they've actually ran tests on a lot of this shit. They've actually studied a lot of this shit. So when I say this shit, it sounds absolutely insane. But scientists actually have came up with terms and shit for what I'm about to tell you. So the first one that was ever seen, I did this in fucked up order, so I apologize. The first confirmed ever seen was September 20th in 1977. It is the jellyfish anomaly of Petrosavdovsk.
He asked for help on this one. I couldn't do this.
I'm going to butcher a lot of names in this, but it's all European cities, and I'm not European. I don't speak this language. But it was seen above the Okanagan Lake in Russia. I'm going to put the titles in all this shit.
That's in Asia, by the way.
Phonetically spell this for me in the comments. It's in Russia.
Yeah, but Russia's in Asia, and you said European, so I just wanted to throw out that.
I'm a lie. Give me a break. 1974. So in 1974, it was the first actual scene. It just was not confirmed. It was introduced into the public in 1979 with that picture, and it was seen by the Danish government.
Rightfully so, and their military.
It was never really, there wasn't really anything that was seen on it. There's a little photograph that's kind of in it, but there's nothing really solid on it. It's non-confirmed. So the first one ever confirmed was going to be the one in Russia. Next one was in 1985, which was linked to the Belarusian sky squid, which we might have to do a whole other episode on this shit because the Belarusian sky squid is kind of scary, which has been seen over the Minsk, Belarus in 1998, Monday, October 19th, in Xingshan, China. There is a Xingshan flying jellyfish, which was reported by a Chinese Air Force pilot and 140 ground officials. They do have pictures of this as well. 140 ground officials and an Air Force pilot actually saw this thing. There are documented pictures that have been confirmed of this incident, which will be up right here. The next one
141 people seen the same.
141 people saw the same thing. On December 24th, 1999, there was the second sighting of the Belarusian sky squid, which was seen.
Second sighting,
which was seen over Vitsibik, Belarus. So both of them were in Belarus. One in Minsk, one in Vitsibik. I'm sorry. Like I said, I'm gonna butcher these. 14 years apart. January 20th, 2010, we have the Norwegian atmospheric jellyfish, which is Per and Milkison. I want to say it's Milkison.
I like that.
In Norway, it re-sparked scientific. It was the first time that it was seen in 20 years.
In Norway?
10. Yeah, Norway.
In Norway.
In Norway.
Got it.
In Norway. But it resparked all the interest in public and in scientific again. So science started doing investigations again in it.
Yeah, it was 2012, right?
That was in 2012 or 2010. Then in April 12th, 2012, there was another one, the Toronto aerial jellyfish, which was seen over Toronto, obviously. Late December 2012, NASA recorded the NASA jelly anomaly, which was a strange object recorded by their actual cameras that were just maintaining the sky at that point. So there's a full jellyfish, which is also documented. The Dutch flying jellyfish was the last one that was seen. Harry Purton sighted it in the Netherlands on June 1st, 2015. Taking pictures of the sky after a storm for his blog, he saw a beautiful sky, and while going back and developing the pictures and looking through, he actually discovered that he caught a jellyfish. So there's actually documented proof on that one too. I'll have all those pictures up in here.
So they've got to be big enough to be seen.
So
with pictures in the sky.
Yes. So and it depends on how they are. So they can either get big and they're nearly invisible to where they're like translucent, or they're smaller and you can kind of see them. And like in the pictures, there's some of them that they're pretty damn vivid. So you got to think they got to be huge beings, which I'll kind of get in a little bit more on this too in the description. So that wraps up the jellyfish. The next one is sky serpents, which are pretty much fucking dragons.
Oh, I believe it.
They appear to float or fly in the sky. They've been reports that say they look like brine shrimp, just because of their thin, like, appearance and their thin arms.
You need to see what a brine shrimp looks like.
We'll put a brine shrimp in here too. The best representation that we have of them is the Chinese dragon. It flies through the sky, no wings, no nothing. It's just the most famous.
I'd rather see
a
jellyfish.
The most famous of these is the Crawfordsville monster, which was sighted in Indiana in 1891. It is classified as a dragon. It was only seen one time, but that's the picture of that floating fucking flying thing with the eyeball in its mouth.
That thing was terrifying.
Absolutely terrifying. The Crawfordsville monster is another one that I'm gonna have to break down for you in a separate one. It was just kind of an introduction into this. Descriptions of these beasts. A policeman reported an encounter with one of them while riding bicycle. It ran through him, and he claimed it felt like a soft blanket that smelt of mildew. In the Shetland Islands, they call it or cloud animals, and it's actually a big part of their culture. They believe that there's hidden life in the water that we can't see, so they believe that the same thing is in the clouds. They believe in the as above, so below.
That's fascinating.
And then the ones that have reported to feel it in the Shetland Islands describe it as being licked by a giant, enormous, soft tongue.
You told me this, and that had literally sent chills down my body.
Being licked by a huge, soft tongue.
And I mean like your whole body, like head to toe, one lick.
Like a thing of mist, but it's all just a tongue.
That seems like the worst outcome ever.
It's terrifying.
I'd rather fight Tutto Tom than be licked head to toe with one big tongue.
It's harmless though. They're believed to be very fragile and lightweight. They're either believed to be native or they're aliens. So they're either native to Earth or aliens. There is a belief from NASA that they originate from interstellar gas clouds and then they kind of float around.
Fuck, I could be wrong, but like tardigrades could do the same thing out there.
So they form in there, and then with that ability, they're able to fly through space. So, like, space is the right atmosphere for them. They're believed to be non-sapient, so they're just animals. They don't have the actual ability to think or process anything. And then when they are felt, they can be felt as semi-solid masses. Reported back.
Can you imagine just touching something and it being jello consistency?
Like, you can kind of feel it, but it's like, what the fuck is that?
I don't like that.
Yeah, I don't either.
Corporeal.
I don't either. Like I said, they can't change density, so they can become small, solid, and metallic shaped, or they can keep growing until they become translucent and invisible. They possibly glow. There's reports of glowing. They may resemble whales.
We're just gonna glance over that they glow.
They may glow. Well, you've seen the pictures. They kind of look like the Northern Lights, like how NASA explained it as the Northern Lights bouncing off the space fabric. So I mean, it's bright lights. Like the Northern Lights really is kind of a representation of it, like that kind of color you'll see. Many of them have been reported as being like whale-ish. So they're called they're also called air whales. Like you'll see them floating around, flying in the skies. Which I've actually heard of that. Like I've seen whales in the sky, or like heard of whales in the sky. Cool. Their normal habitat is within clouds, and if they come within contact of the ground, they will die.
What do they eat? They eat.
I have no idea. No idea.
Because a cloud is just water vapor.
But you got to think of it. If they're like that, they're pretty much vapor anyways. They're a gas cloud that pretty much formed and became not sentient, but became alive.
Yeah, but you would need nutrition to support being alive. Maybe. You know, motherfucker needs like solar energy. They're not like living creatures.
Yeah, I know. But that's what I'm saying. It's fucking wild. I don't know. Maybe they eat birds. I don't know. If they die. So this is what really got me. So when they die, they fall to Earth as a gelatin mass. Like there is actual gelatin that falls through the sky. This gelatin mass is usually green, purple, gray, or iridescent. It evaporates to nothing within minutes, hours, or at the max time, days. The Welsh call it the pewter sur, which translates to rot from the sky. And it's actually been studied and like scientifically studied.
Terrible.
And it's known as gelatinous meteorites or star jelly. So this shit actually exists. Scientists have gotten samples, they have conducted studies, and they have a full categorized name for this material that dies when these animals die.
That's the fact that it would just rot from the stars, just fall down, and you just
it just dies. Yeah,
it's just jelly right next to you.
Has to come through.
It just looks like someone opened a thing of grape jelly right next to you.
Yeah, either grape green or just imagine just like, you know how people are always like, oh, the sky's falling, the sky's falling. Maybe it is. Maybe you just got hit by some invisible fucking gel.
You feel like you get licked from head to toe.
Yeah, see, and it's just terrifying. It makes me want to look in the sky more. I had to do one from the water and from the sky.
Oh, I like that. I did one from
above and below.
I did one from water and one from land. Yeah, this is an interesting episode of conspiracy,
man. So not scary, but they're weird.
Yeah, just a little head scratching.
Dude, I think all 4 of them are real. I'll be honest with you. Yeah, 4 real ones.
So yeah, man, let us know what y'all thought. Like, comment, subscribe. Let us know if y'all got any cryptids y'all want us to discuss next episode. That first episode took off. A lot of interaction.
We appreciate y'all for the love.
Yeah, we just wanted to say we appreciate it, man.
Please, we'll keep it up. You keep it up. Sound like a deal?
Yeah.
Yeah, we love y'all. Keep rocking with us. We'll see you till next time. Peace.